Welcome back to the session 4 of Unit 5. So here we are going to look at the impact or the influence of social class on consumer behavior. So by the end of this session, we should be able to explain the meaning of the concept of social class, identify the basic distinction between social class and social status, describe the basic characteristics of the common social class categories, identify the common components of social class, and describe the lifestyle profile of 6 common social classes. So, what is a social class? Several definitions and several authors have propounded definitions towards this same concept. So, but according to Schiffer and Carnot 2007, they define social class as the division of the members of a society into hierarchy of distinct status classes, so that members of each class have relatively the same status and members of all other classes have either more or less status. So social class basically talks about the classification or the categories of people we have in our community. The categories of people that we have in our community. And according to Solomon, a consumer social standing is his or her social class, yes, and is determined by the complex set of variables including income, family background, and occupation. So, if somebody is coming from a rich family, we classify the person as um, what do you call it? Let's say somebody who has money, or let's say a rich person. So we see those people to be different from those that from poor background and or let's say poor family and all that. So social class, so we are basically talking about the status of what a consumer. So we can use income, even the family background, and sometimes the occupation. Sorry. All right. So we are looking at the social class and the social status as the authors point out. Researchers normally measure social class in terms of the social status. So researchers determine the social status and the social class in terms of the social status of what the consumers. So that is, they define each social class by the amount of status the members of that class have in comparison with members of what other social classes. Okay. Now, when we think of consumer social class, a number of pieces of information may be considered. But basically, there are 3 major ones, as or which was identified by Solomon. So, as I indicated earlier on, occupation, income, and an education. So, if you see somebody and the person is called a professor, it tells you the social class that the person finds him or herself. And if somebody is working in a bank, sometimes there are some form of perception that we have that they have money and they are people who don't like cheap things or whatever. And if somebody is also a rich person, somebody receives what do you call a fat salary, we can also know the type of person that we are also dealing with. Now, you can also consider the measures of how do we measure social class. How do we measure social class? And these authors have identified a systematic approach for measuring social class and fall into the following 3 broad categories. We have the subjective measure, we have the reputational measure, we have the objective measure. So the subjective one is saying that social class is based on how people think. Social class is based on how we see things to be like. So subjective measure, everybody will see, even though the person has money. But sometimes you look at the appearance of the person, we take them into a different category, regardless of the fact that the person is rich. But because you don't see the person dressed to portray that he or she is rich, sometimes marketers tend to ignore those people. Then we have reputation. So the kind of name the person or the particular group of people have, the kind of name that the person will have, and the objective ones, objective measure. This is basically the one that everybody agrees that now these are the things that supposed to be there for a person to be classified as a high status person or a high social class person. Then lifestyle profile of the social classes. Consumers Consumer research evidence suggests that within each of the social classes, there is a composition of specific lifestyle factors that tend to distinguish them, the members of what each class from the members of what other social class, and that is clear and true. All right. So in conclusion, we have learned the division of members of society into a hierarchy of social class, and then social classes exist in all societies and culture.